All right, let's get right into it. There's a huge question making the rounds in tech right now, a really big one. Is AI actually making software worthless? The answer to this, well, it's going to define the next decade of innovation, for sure.
So, there's this powerful narrative gaining a ton of traction in venture and tech circles, and frankly, it's a bit of a dangerous one. It boils down to this deceptively simple question. Now that AI can write code, is software itself just becoming a commodity? And this right here, this is the heart of that whole argument. The logic, it's really seductive, right? If you can create something instantly for basically nothing, then its value has to be going down. It sounds compelling, but as we're about to see, it's a deeply, deeply flawed conclusion. Okay, so to really get what's happening, we have to flip that narrative on its head. We need a much bigger idea. See, this moment isn't signaling the death of software, not at all. It's signaling its transformation into something way bigger, a global coordination layer.
This really gets at the shift in thinking that's required here. The old way of looking at it was that systems run on software. Software was a tool you applied to a problem. But the new reality? Our entire economic and industrial systems are starting to run as software. It's not just an application anymore, it's becoming the fundamental operating environment. And that is a huge, profound change.
And here's the crucial thing to remember. We are nowhere near market saturation. I mean, just look at these foundational pillars of the global economy: manufacturing, healthcare, logistics. So many of them are still astonishingly fragmented, still relying on analog processes. The opportunity isn't shrinking, it's actually exploding out into the physical world.
And that brings us right to the true role of AI in all of this. Far from being a threat, AI is the single biggest catalyst for software's expansion. It isn't getting rid of the need for software, it's pushing it up the value stack, into much more complex and much more valuable territory.
We've seen this exact pattern play out time and time again. Every single time we've made building software cheaper or easier, think high-level languages, think cloud computing, open source, it has unleashed an absolute explosion of more sophisticated, more valuable applications. AI is just the next and probably the most powerful stage in that historical trend.
Okay, let's make this really concrete. Think about the banking industry back in 1995. Sure, it was a software-enabled industry, but the functions were pretty basic, right? Managing checking accounts, processing credit cards, maybe some clunky online portal. The software was a tool, but it wasn't the business itself.
Now, fast forward to today. The financial industry is software. It's this incredibly complex, deeply integrated ecosystem of algorithmic trading, embedded finance, real-time fraud analytics. I mean, the list goes on. The operational complexity and the value that it creates has just expanded exponentially, and that demands vastly more sophisticated software. And this is the absolute key distinction to make. AI is brilliant at handling the easy stuff, the syntax of code. But real, durable enterprise value, that doesn't live there. It lives in architecting complex systems, in managing messy integrations, and in solving these really unique, domain-specific problems that demand deep human expertise. That's where the strategic value is created and captured.
So this big shift from just writing code to architecting systems leads us directly to the next huge frontier of value creation, building what we can call the new autonomy stack. This is all the software that's needed to orchestrate the fleets of intelligent, autonomous systems that are now moving out of the lab and into our physical economy. And this is exactly where that deep human expertise is most critical.
This new stack really has three essential layers. First, you've got the perception and intelligence engines, the brains of the operation. Second, you've got the coordination systems that act like the nervous system. But it's that third layer, governance, compliance, and safety. That's the one nobody's talking about enough. And for actual enterprise adoption, it's arguably the most valuable of all.
Think about it. Autonomous systems simply cannot operate in regulated industries without software that guarantees accountability. It's a non-starter. And this one requirement is creating massive new software categories, everything from platforms for industrial automation to the critical infrastructure for managing AI agents safely and legally. This is a huge, largely untapped market.
And this gives rise to a completely new class of technology, agent-native infrastructure. Now, this isn't just another service you tack onto the cloud. We're talking about a fundamental architectural shift in computing itself. It's designed from the ground up for the unique demands of these persistent, stateful, autonomous AI agents. These things need a totally different foundation to operate effectively and, more importantly, safely.
So, when you put all of these pieces together, the conclusion becomes pretty clear. We are not in some late-stage, maturing technology cycle. Not even close. We are at the very beginning of a software supercycle, a multi-generational transformation of the global economy itself.
And look, we have historical context for this. We've seen these massive platform shifts before. The move from the mainframe to client-server, then from on-prem to the cloud. Each of those created generations of the world's most valuable companies. Well, the shift we're seeing now to agent-native infrastructure, that represents the next trillion-dollar platform transition.
And this whole transition is being fueled by this powerful mix of forces all coming together at once. You've got AI expanding what software can even do, while autonomous systems are making everything way more complex. And this is all happening just as industry digitization, hardware intelligence, and regulatory demands are all hitting a major inflection point. These are the powerful tailwinds of this new software supercycle.
So for every strategist, every executive, every investor listening to this, the crucial takeaway is this: value is shifting. The next generation of truly great software companies won't just be selling discrete tools. They're going to be building the deeply embedded, absolutely indispensable operating systems for entire industries, managing that complex intersection of data, hardware, and regulation. This is the new game.
And maybe this is the most powerful way to reframe the entire conversation. Software is no longer just a tool we use. It's becoming the connective tissue of our civilization itself. It's the operating system that's linking intelligence, capital, physical infrastructure, and human creativity.
The economic and industrial giants of this century, they're being built on these new software architectures right now, as we speak. This isn't a story about the end of software. It's the story of its true beginning. So the only question left to ask is, how are you going to leverage it?